Weddings? Do I look like I do weddings? I grew up being called council estate scum. This life that I have comes because of the joy of hospitality.
And how do you balance that idea then of like obviously pursuing what you love and what you want to do and making money and being able to survive? Like, is there...
There is a trade-off, but my rule is simple. If it doesn't bring me joy, I don't do it.
Okay.
Simple. Sheffield was just a disaster on every level. So I just started to gamble with them. I said, look, come and try it out. Come and try it out. And if you love it, you pay your bill. If you don't love it, it's on me. No worries at all. Where we go wrong as an industry is we're not great at giving feedback.
The fact that you've implemented a kind of a system that people saw career progression is so, I think it's so important.
I lose count of how many parents I've sat down with because their kid has kind of said, right, so I've finished university, I'm now going to do this for a full-time living. Like, genuinely, I was not a restaurant manager, I was a people developer. That was my job.
Yeah. Welcome to this Flip Dish Takeaways podcast. I'm joined by Kieron Bailey, founders of People on Purpose. Kieron, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure to be here, dude. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. So, give us a little bit of background on you. Where did you start your career? How did you get involved in what you do now?
Man, it's a long story. I'm 51 now. I'm a wandering around middle-aged rotund fella who spent his entire life in this industry and absolutely adores it. Started off at, did a school kind of thing. Work experience. That's the word I was looking for. Work experience.
School thing is better, yeah.
School thing. That was probably the most of the work I did at school was work experience. But that triggered something. That told me that I love this and I love the idea of being able to kind of make people smile, the idea of being able to kind of make memories for folks and just connect with individuals. And then from that point on, really, other than the few years I pretended to be a DJ, and I very much pretended to be a DJ. I wasn't great at it, but I got paid good money. But other than that, my life has been this. So between great brands like the Hard Rock, Wagamama, spent some time with Costa. I did some stuff with some independents. And then about 10 years ago, I realized I'm old. I've got the needs of a 90-year-old. And now I should just spend more time talking about why I love this industry and how can we help make it better. So stepped away from operations for that.
Amazing. Now, I'm not going to let you just pass by that whole DJing section without diving into that a little bit. What were you doing? Like weddings? Like what was the clubs?
Weddings? Do I look like I do weddings?
Well, you're talking about quite a few years ago. I presume you were...
I mean, I was pretty cool then, if I'm honest with you. No, so I would have been like 18, 19, left home when I was like 17 and really needed to find a way to make some money. And I persuaded a local rock club to give me a slot opening up because the main DJ didn't want to do the opening hour because it was duff and no one ever danced. So I persuaded them to do that. I then spent 2 years basically, and I just took on Saturday nights in like one of the biggest like rock alternative clubs in the country at the time. Rock City, that place was called. It was ridiculous.
Cool name.
A lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
DJing on vinyl?
DJing on vinyl, absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it was 30 years ago, let's be real. I was like, CDs were not a thing at that moment. They were just creeping in, I guess. But always on vinyl, which was a nightmare to carry around, I'm not going to lie. Nearly got mugged once walking home from the club after a set. Guy was like, I want your records. I'm like, no.
You had like a suitcase of records with you?
I just a big bag. And he's looking at me, he's like, I'm taking your records. I was like, you're not. I don't eat so I can have these records. You're not taking the records. It didn't go well for me, I'll be honest with you. I kept the records, but I got a broken nose.
Oh, well, that's pretty good.
It felt like a victory in the end.
Absolutely. Any takeaways from that time as a DJ that you took into like the later parts of your career? Any learnings, or was it just a write-off for you?
No, no time is a write-off. There are lessons that we learn in every part. And actually for me, the biggest part around that was reading the room. What was working, what was hitting hard, what was making sense, what was kind of taking the vibe to where you wanted to be, and what was just killing the dance floor. And I think about kind of life as a restaurateur, all of it kind of tipped into that. You think about, there's this idea called litmus, where it's lights, music, and temperature. All of that kind of was born from that like time as a DJ, basically, kind of what was working out well, what was hitting the mark, and what was giving everybody the energy and moving it forward, and what was making them just sit and go, this is making me sad. So yeah, I learned loads from it, to be fair. I also learned how to pretend and got paid pretty well for it, if I'm honest with you. It also persuaded my wife that I would be a good call because I looked cool.
That's all you need, right? Yeah.
I wasn't cool. Well, where we are.
You were a DJ, so...
Well, exactly, and kind of, it's been 31 years with her now, so it clearly made sense.
I love to hear someone else talk about that because I'm myself also a musician, and it's always something that I think about in what I do. I work in a lot in kind of the learning space, and I'm always thinking about if I'm training people, almost run the training session like a put together a song where you have your quiet bits, you have your loud bits, you have your interactive bits, you have all of that kind of stuff to keep people engaged all the time. And it was so interesting to hear that the litmus idea of applying the same idea as like getting people onto a dance floor or having a good night as it would be to going to a restaurant or, hospitality in general. So that's really interesting.
It's a really good comparison. I spend a lot of my time now teaching people and facilitating sessions. And you are thinking about how you kind of everybody can't always be here all the time because that just becomes exhausting for everybody. So you've got to kind of have the ebbs and the flows with it and really know how to control that.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to build to the drop and then go for it and then have another little build. Yeah, it's nice to think about that life's natural rhythm or the music that kind of goes through it. It's a kind of nice way to look at it. So, okay, how did you transition then from DJ to the next phase of your life?
I always describe my wife as being the catalyst for everything that was good in me. And she loves that when she hears that, if I'm honest with you. So I'm just winning brownie points.
We're getting at least one viewer out of this podcast. Yeah, done.
I always bank on the fact she never listens, but apparently she does. She quoted something at me last week, which told me she did. But the reality was, my wife was amazing. Like I left school with no qualifications, 2 GCSEs, RE, and art.
Okay, you want to go far with that?
It was like a grade C-ish in RE. I wasn't even great at it. So the idea of kind of what was I going to do in life? What was I going to contribute? It wasn't never going to be an academic. But my wife was incredibly smart. She was just finishing a degree. She was thinking about going on to do a master's. And we'd spent some time I'd wooed her over 6 months writing to her. And then I kind of got to the point where I was like, my wife's going to probably leave me. This woman's going to leave me because she's going to outgrow me. So I need to work out how can I shine in a way that makes her go, this guy's cool. And actually what I was good at was connecting with people. So I went and spent some time in hospitality and I figured I'm pretty good at this. So I started working for a pub company at the time and was made a supervisor within 4 days of doing that job. And I was like, either I'm amazing
or the other guy
not so much. Combination of the two, if I'm honest with you. Combination of
I'd like to think you were amazing, but maybe the bar was really low.
I mean, the bar was low comparatively, and I did shine against, but they were awful. But we are where we are. I saw the opportunity. I took the opportunity. They said, "Do you want to become a manager?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool. That sounds like a good plan." I generally if I've spoken to recruiters over the years, and they always talk and they say, "It sounds like your career had a really clearly mapped kind of plan and idea." Absolute lies. Literally, I live in the moment. So I find something that brings me joy, and I do that. If it stops bringing me joy, I do something different. So I spent some time doing that, and then my wife and I I persuaded her we should go and work together. So we went and did some time up on the Isle of Skye, which is stunning, but at 20-ish, very dull. So we did a year there, and we were assistant managers in a hotel, and it was an experience. It was a hell of an experience, but it was a fairly easy transition then. And from that point on, it all just made sense. I was never going to do anything else, to be honest with you.
And how do you balance that idea then of obviously pursuing what you love and what you want to do and making money and being able to survive? Have you had times in your life where you're like, well, this brings me joy, but it doesn't bring me money, and do I have to let go of it for that reason? Or have you never thought about things like that?
Every now and again, there's a trade-off. There is a trade-off. But my rule is simple. If it doesn't bring me joy, I don't do it.
Okay.
Simple. And if that means I make a little bit less money in the moment, then I'm all right with that.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, I'm very lucky. My wife's incredible. She's out-salaried me throughout her entire life. I see stories of men who are like, they're intimidated by their incredible wives and the way they live. And I'm like, I really benefited from that because I get to do whatever I want as a rule. So yeah, there are times when you make some choices and you make some tough choices. But if it brings me joy and if I feel like I'm really contributing something positive, then I'm going to do it. If it means I make a little bit less money today, then that's fine. Money comes and goes. It's a reality.
Happiness is I suppose is something that you can't really quantify, right? You can't put a price on it.
I meet a lot of people who've got a lot of money, but I look in their eyes and then the joy isn't there. And I'm like, I grew up with nothing. So it matters not to me, to be honest with you. As long as I can feed my many cats and I can buy trainers when I want them and feed my addiction to individualized baseball caps, I'm all right, to be fair.
I was going to ask about the baseball cap, but now I know that it's, how many have you got?
It's an addiction. I got about 52.
About 52, as in like about exactly 52.
I know it's exactly 52 because she counted them and told me, and Ian highlighted to me that I might have a problem. And I was like, I don't think there's an AA for that. I don't think there's a thing for that. I'll be honest with you, it's not. But I kind of, again, it's that thing. I think individualized experiences are everything, always have been. So why would I then go and buy a cap that every other person and thousands of people across the world could have when I could just create it for myself? And I walked through the door and I wore this one. I was in Nashville in May at the Unreasonable Hospitality Conference, and I wore this one on the first day. And so many people in that room were like, where do I buy that cap? You can't buy that cap. It's just a one-off. However, I will put up a waiting list, and if you would like to buy them, then I will create them as the answer.
Wow, making another little market for yourself as well.
It's a challenge, man. Like, generally, like the idea being, I'm a multi-potentialite, which makes me feel better about having a short attention span. And
sounds like ADHD to me.
Well, I mean, that's the other way of describing it. Yes. But TED Talk told me multi-potentialite's a reasonable thing, and I'm taking TED Talk's advice. Love
that. So you're, you've gone from your role then as like supervisor in a bar. Where did it go from there, and when did you decide you wanted to kind of set up something for yourself?
I mean, it was a pretty quick journey. So from the bar up to the hotels, did a year in the hotels, thought, you know what, love this, but it's so quiet. Moved down, back down home's Nottingham, and applied for 7 or 8 jobs with different pub companies. And I met my boss at the time, Alan Cole, and Alan was just... like, when I think about Alan, I smile to this day. And Alan's no longer with us, which is incredibly sad because he was a game changer in so many ways. But Alan was an old school punk. Now he's sitting in this interview as an area manager. But even in that moment, you can feel that where he was, and you can feel everything about him was coming across. And I was like, I want to work for this guy as the answer. Then I met his boss, and his boss was also amazing. Weirdly, also called Alan. Felt like they were unnecessarily complicating life. But they were just incredibly cool. So moved on to that. Did 7 years, and as you were saying, like live music. So I kind of went back to that DJ feeling. I ran a venue that had a wonderful bar where I got to do exactly as I pleased. It had a live venue above it that I persuaded them to. So it had a capacity of 50 people, which is a big dinner party. It's not a gig. Let's be real.
Agreed.
But to increase it, we had to increase the means of escape. So I persuaded them that we'd rip down a garage and we'd put in a fire escape to take it to 150.
It's a gig.
Well, now it's a gig. And now it's the gig you want to be at. And that place was just incredible. Did exactly as I pleased. If I wanted to change the colours on the walls, I changed the colours on the wall. If I wanted to change the music, in fact, this is one of the nuttiest things. So in that place, we had a jukebox, and my customers would bring their CDs in at this point, and we'd put them in the jukebox, and then they would pay to listen to their own CDs.
So they bought the CD in the first place, gave it to you, and then paid again to
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that place was amazing. But I did 7 years there. I then bought a recording rehearsal studio, which we talk about a lot. So I love my brother. I got a twin brother. He's amazing. He was a great singer. I couldn't sing for toffee. And he wanted to record an album. He'd been offered deals by 3 or 4 labels, but they were offering him like a week in a studio at a time. My brother, like, I'm a procrastinator. Take it 2 levels up with my brother. So the idea of saying to him, you've got 7 days to record an album, we'd be like, So I bought a studio, closed it down with the act of kindness. It was fun. It was an amazing place. And he recorded his record. But that was because life was so easy in the pub, to be fair. And if I'm bored, if life's easy, I'm bored. And if I'm bored, it doesn't go well.
You want to add in challenges when you can.
Always. So I did that, then moved to the Hard Rock, which was one of the best times of my life. I met some of my greatest friends there. Still, just to this day, I was chatting with one of the kitchen managers who's in Amsterdam at the moment, who was in Cardiff when I first met him, and that was like 20. He told me it was 20 years ago. Again, I felt old in that moment, man. Old. But the Hard Rock, then went into Costa, then went into, where else did I go? Wagamama. Great. Oh, I love Wagamama. Such a great brand.
Yeah. I love the food just in general. Like, it's a great place. But yeah,
not too.
We obviously had Vicky on from Wagamama as well, the global marketing manager.
She was incredible. Some of the campaigns that she ran were just absolutely superb.
Yeah,
and they still nail it to this day with that connection to their community. They get it right. That
unique experience of the place as well, kind of the sharing tables, all of that, the basement feel. it's great, isn't it? Like it's a cool spot.
It is, but the irony is, the true irony, my wife had been trying to persuade me to go and eat there at the one in Nottingham for a while, and I was like, I don't want to sit next to some random weirdo. I'm not going there. That's odd. You know what I mean? She was just like, I really want to go there. I was like, no, I'm going to sit next to some strangers. I don't want to do that. Now I'm like an advocate, because now I'm like, I've started so many conversations and made so many friendships in that particular environment where you just think, just having a chat goes a really long way, to be fair. So did some time with Wagga, had the best time, ran 2 or 3 sites for them, Leicester, Sheffield, and Nottingham. Did like a wonderful little triangle. So I spent a lot of time on my little Ford Mondeo going between sites, basically. Sheffield was just a disaster on every level. It was huge, it was beautiful, but it'd been designed to take 50, 60k. And the first week I took it over, after being open for 3 months, it took £9,000. Which all of us know is a bad Saturday in anybody else's world.
Yeah.
Never mind about a week. So spent time with those guys. Did a brief spell with Coast to Coast. Probably best not talk about that. It was a god-awful experience.
Definitely going to ask you about that now. You said that.
I'll say it. I joined that company with this vision that the food was going to be amazing. It was fresh cooked, something you could be proud of. And I did my first day of induction, wandering around Brighton, and I was counting fridges and freezers. And as an operator, you kind of know, like, there's a ratio we should be expecting to see. That got to the point where I had to take my shoes and socks off to be able to count how many freezers were in this place, and this many fridges wasn't a great look. So already you go from being this is amazing fresh cooked food to actually it's microwave garbage. And I'm not ashamed to say it. You know, it was a dark day.
Trying to start some internet beef here. Is that's what's going on here?
I love
calling people
internet
out.
beef, dude. I love internet beef. I'll bring it all. I think it's dead now. I think the brand's gone, if I'm honest with you, so I'm probably safe. No one's going to sue me. Good luck to them. It's all true.
We have photos of the microwaves.
Oh, yeah. I'll supply the evidence. Don't even worry about it. But like that was a real moment for me, because on that first day, my gut said, turn around and walk away and leave. But instead, I was like, no, I'll see it through. I've said I'm going to come and do this, so I'm going to do it. But I knew it was wrong in that moment. And I very much could have been sure, and in that first moment, that this was not going to work out. And lo and behold, it just wasn't a good place to be. Culturally, it was a mismatch. You know, you come from Wagga, and everyone looks at Wagga and thinks kind of it's super fast, so it must be kind of bought in through the back door. Everything's cooked from scratch. All the prep was done from scratch. And then you go to the microwaved sadness. Anyway,
people know as well, like when you taste that, when it's been microwaved or reheated, you can tell
it's impossible not to.
It's not good.
And they charged a lot of money for it. It was fundamentally the same menu as Frankie and Benny's, but there was about 30% more expensive.
For microwave food?
Yeah. It's not cool, man. Anyway, it was a fun day.
I'm glad we did delve into that. I wanted to ask about the Sheffield branch of Wagga that you said you were involved in. It obviously didn't go great. What was it that
didn't
made
start great?
Yeah. Okay. So what were the blockers there? What were the challenges at the start?
So genuine, the first one was location.
Okay.
It was in Meadowhall, and they had picked a site on the ground floor of Meadowhall on kind of the main food court, which was a lot of very kind of run-of-the-mill QSR opportunities like jack potatoes. There was I think the second busiest McDonald's in Europe was next to it. It was hectic, and it was a source of envy when you see a queue outside of McDonald's, like, no one's walking through my damn door. So that was not a great location, to be fair. It was huge, it was beautiful, and it was overwhelming. So there was a lot that went against it. The people of Sheffield, if you think, so in Sheffield there was a Wagga in the city centre that had already kind of broken some of the ground, but that was the people of Sheffield. At Meadowhall, you're getting a lot of the folks from the kind of surrounding regions, so you're introducing something new to them.
Yeah.
In this most beautiful building that is a little bit intimidating, with a menu that's like, what's a panko breadcrumb? I don't really know, to be fair. So it was a lot that kind of was going against it. And I spent the first 3 weeks, I literally just sat outside for the first 3 weeks and watched. And I watched what people did as they wandered up. And I watched what they did once they looked at the menu. And I saw their faces and went, okay, sounds interesting. And then I saw their faces as they kind of peeked around and I went, no, not for me. And being quite a bold individual, I then sort of sat down and I started to talk to these people and asked them, tell me what's going on in your head in this moment. Because in this moment, I saw you look at the menu and I saw the description of the chicken katsu curry and I saw you smile. And they were like, well, it does sound good. I was like, and then I see you look through the door and I see a little distress. And they were like, it looks fancy. And I was like, okay. Tell me fancy. And they're like, it looks like a date night thing. It looks like a special occasion thing. And I was like, I loved Wagamama. And I was like, but with the best will in the world, it ain't a special date night thing. You know what I mean? We're here for you. I was like, I'll have you in and out in 34 minutes. Don't even worry. And I was like, okay. So I'm also, I like to gamble. Comes from my father. Didn't go well for him. Goes better for me. So I just started to gamble with him. I said, look, come and try it out. Come and try it out. And if you love it, you pay your bill and you leave a nice tip. If you don't love it, it's on me. No worries at all. And because I'm quite, this takes a level of comfortable and confidence to be able to do this, because you kind of go, look, if you try and lie to me and tell me you didn't love it because you want it for free, I'll know. And your conscience will know, and then this is on you now. So
good luck sleeping at night.
Exactly that. And you just get in their heads a little bit, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, this guy's paying attention. So, and I didn't buy anybody's dinner. They all sat, they all eat, they all enjoyed, and they all said we're coming back. And it was kind of that. I also, I made the managing director a little bit sad because they'd built this beautiful restaurant, but it was quite intimidating. And he said, what are we going to do, Kieron? How do we fix this? And I was like, see that big wall there? Yeah. I was like, we should just knock that over. Clear it out. The shutter. We open it up in the day, and we have somebody stood there. For the first month, it's me. I'll be there, and my managers will see the way I do it. Then my managers will be there, and my team leaders will see the way they do it. And my team leaders will be there, and the team will see the way they do it. And all of a sudden, my team members can be there, and they're drawing people in. But we're taking away the barrier, because it was a physical barrier to coming through the door. So if you're worried, if you're a guest and you've never been to a brand, and you see something that looks a little fancy, and you think, I'm not fancy, all of a sudden, every physical barrier becomes a reason not to go there. So just knock it out. And it took a bit of persuading. It did take a bit of persuading. But Glenn got there in the end, and we flattened it, and we opened it up, and we put a big shutter, and all of a sudden, people start to come through the door. People start to come. So it was a challenge, but it was fun.
And were you using a lot of social media marketing at the time, or online marketing, or were you trying to rely mostly on word of mouth of these people that came in and like...
Around that point, social media was literally just starting to take off. Okay. So it wasn't really it wouldn't have worked for us as the answer. We had to do word of mouth. So we had to be out there in that shopping centre talking to anybody that we could talk to with a sweet smile and a challenge every now and again and a bit of a bet now and again, and just let people hear. So if you're going to do that bet thing, and if I'm going to go to the trouble of running the risk that I'm going to end up paying for somebody's dinner, I want everybody else within a 15-foot circle to hear me make that bet, because I want them to go, that's fun.
Yeah, I'll take that bet.
I want a bit of that. You think that madman's going to bet with me? Do you think there's any chance that I'm going to be eating here for free? And all of a sudden, people start to come in and start to go, okay, I heard there was a nutter here. Like, so let's do it. And I'm like, I'll gamble with all of you. Don't even worry, because I'm going to win. Because I knew that the food was amazing. I knew my team were on point, but they all cared. And they did, they all cared. They wanted it to be a success. And they were devastated with the idea that, in a restaurant that was 256 covers, that in that first week of taking over, they must have had about 256 people through the door that week. That's not a lot of people.
Yeah, for a whole week.
More. Yeah, you want more. So, no, it was a lot of fun, man. It was.
That must have been incredibly satisfying to see it go from that horrendous to kind of off the ground, and then be able to walk away from it at some stage and say, like, to give it the nod. It's obviously still there, I presume, now, right?
Yeah, I mean, happily, they took my next piece of advice, which was close that site and move upstairs to where the actual restaurants were. And initially, they were like, we spent so much money on this, Kieron, we're not doing that. And I was like, I'm just saying, at some point, you're going to need to close this and move upstairs.
So they knocked down a wall for you, and then you just told them to move upstairs. Okay.
So when you have
they loved you.
When you have, sometimes.
Yeah. You got the people through the door, so that's the main thing.
Good days and bad days, but I was memorable. I'll say that.
Absolutely. Were you into your hats at that stage? Did you have a I'll pay for your meal hat?
You know what? No, I never did. I never thought I could rock a baseball cap. I never thought it would make sense. And then I got to a point in life where I just thought, I don't care. It makes me happy. So I'm just going to do it. But at that point, I was a little bit more kind of delicate about the way the world viewed me, I guess.
Okay.
Well, it would have helped, wouldn't it? Strolling through Meadowhall with a gamble on your lunch.
Love it. It's good marketing.
It could have worked.
Yeah,
could have made a lot of sense.
And then from there, where did the career take you then from Wagga?
So that was then into Coast, which was an awful experience. I did 6 months, and I was like, "You're all terrible. I'm leaving." that was my resignation.
Tell us how you really feel.
There's no point in holding back, is there? Is the honest answer. I'm a firm believer in radical candor. It's an absolute thing.
Love
so
that.
I threw that in there. I then went and spent a year and a half. So there's a guy called James Horler, and James was an innovator in the industry. Still is, to be fair. He's an amazing dude. And he'd bought a couple of these kind of big street food buffet type places. They were huge, and they'd been and bothered me a couple of times to come to one in Nottingham, and I was like, it's a buffet, I'm not having that, it's not me, I'm better than that. I wasn't better than that at all, to be honest with you. But the second time round, they came to find me again, and I met the guy who would be the kind of the regional manager, Eddie. And Eddie Passy is he's a remarkable dude. He happily is still with us. Hey, Eddie. And he's very cool, man. He is very cool. And we sat and we talked about what he could do and what we could do in this place and what the opportunities were. And then I sat with James and told him what I would like to do and make some changes. And he was just like, you're not even in the door yet. And I was like, but it was taking like 90K a week at that time. It was a big place, 26,000 square feet, 500 covers, team of 140 or 150 people. It was a big spot, but it could have done more. So I decided I was going to outline to him about how we could make more money as the answer. And that was the last place I worked in operations, to be fair. And I think that might have broken me because it was huge. Like my step counter was insane in that place because I like to cover distance and 5 kitchens across 3 floors, plus a whole kind of service area. And you've got a team of 135, which means at any given point, there's probably 40 people on shift at any given point. By the end of every day, every one of them on shift should have seen me, should have spoken to me, should have had the opportunity to share something with me. And we look at it in restaurant life, and you talk about the idea that, if your manager in your restaurant isn't touching every table while they're in your restaurant, you're doing something wrong. Your manager needs to pull their finger out and go and get involved, go and talk to your guests. And I adopt the same mindset with my team because you have external customers, you have internal customers. And if you're not doing everything you can do to keep those internal customers happy and engaged and smiley and joyful, then how the hell do you stand a chance of your actual external customers kind of going, yeah, we'll keep coming back and giving you money? So I covered some distance in that place, and I would go and I would talk, and I changed the culture. It was an old school business, family run business before, and there was a really interesting culture. There's a lot of finger pointing, not a lot of accountability, not a lot of ownership. And I genuinely believe if you can't take responsibility and accountability for something that's happening in your building, then you're doing something wrong. So I changed that around quite a lot, and I created a full-on coaching culture within our business, and I created a development program for them because that's something I'd always done. Genuinely, I was not a restaurant manager. I was a people developer. That was my job. I created more people to make sure that the brand had the next one for the next opening. And in Wagamama, that was kind of important, to be honest with you, because they were opening at a ridiculous rate. I think by the time I left Wagga, they had 110 restaurants, and 10% of their general managers and head chefs had come through my ranks, started as line chefs and front of house team members. And that for me was really important.
It's a great way to get good people, right, who are willing to progress their career within your business, right? That's it's so important, because I think sometimes people see those hospitality jobs as just a stepping stone to something else, or a quick fix, 6 months here, a year there. The fact that you've implemented a kind of a system that people saw career progression I think it's so important. I
lose count of how many parents I've sat down with because their kid has kind of said, right, so I've finished university, I'm now going to do this for a full-time living. And their parents come and they're unhappy. And I'm like, well, bring them to me. Bring your parents, let's sit and have a conversation, and I'll talk about the opportunity, and I will explain to them what can come from this for you. Mm-hmm. Because the reality is, you walk through the door as a team member, but you might walk out the door as the head of people. You might walk out the door as the culture and people lead. Wagamama, you've got John Conyers, who's the people and culture lead right now. You've got Jamie, who is the food development chef right now. You've got Olga, who's just left, who was the head of people. All 3 of those started as full-time team members. So
unbelievable.
That's the opportunity. But it's only there if the people within the business are saying, actually, I'm going to take this seriously, and I'm going to work hard to develop you. And as hard as I work to develop you, you're going to do just the same. Because if you don't, we're going to have a different conversation.
I love that. And yeah, I think you see a lot of movement, and I certainly saw it when I worked in retail as well, is that there was great people that worked in the business that were just itching to get out because they saw no future for themselves, or pressure from their parents, things like that. You're like, you can't do a retail job, or you can't do a restaurant job. Whereas actually, like you said, there is a huge amount of scope to to deliver in loads of different ways rather than just in a kitchen or serving tables and things like that as well.
Massive opportunity. And sitting down with those parents to be that confident to say, just come in, we'll have dinner, we'll sit and shoot the breeze, and I'll talk to you. All of a sudden, when a parent hears that, they're like, okay, that's unusual. Yeah. That's unusual. And then they meet me, and I can be quite charming when I want to be. When there's something that I want.
Could you turn that on now? That would be great for the podcast.
I mean, I'm trying, you know what I mean? But like, I'm genuinely like, if I'm motivated that I want this person in my business and I want them to stay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can do to create the environment for that to be successful. And if that means that mum has to walk away going, he's the nicest man in the world, and of course I want little Johnny to spend his career with him, then you know what? I'll do what I need to do. It's worked out for me. And I've been written into wills over the years from various different places. It gets the job done.
Wow, it's amazing to hear, because I think there's a lot of businesses outside hospitality that could learn a lot from that mentality, that don't apply those kind of same principles to the way they work or and how they develop people. I was going to ask, I think what you said about managers making sure they touch every table, I thought that was a really interesting point. Is there any other kind of key aspects that you've kind of noticed over the time that kind of lead to success in the hospitality? Like I love the manager one, accountability you mentioned as another way.
I think where we go wrong as an industry is we're not great at giving feedback. And we have this really weird idea about what feedback should be and what it could be, what it might be. And we have this concept that if I'm going to give feedback, then I have to do it in a specific room at a specific time with maybe a little agenda point, and I hit the marks. Whereas actually feedback can be in the moment. I see you doing something, I course correct you in that moment and set you off on the right path, and boom, happy days. Yeah. All of a sudden, you've gone from kind of doing something wrong to kind of having me look at you in the eyes and go, we don't do it like that. This is how we do it. Is that cool? And you go, okay, cool, no problem. And boom, off you go. We're on to a winner. We don't do that well in the industry. We could do so much better. So I think creating that kind of feedback culture is so important, which then leans into a culture of coaching, which then says, actually, I take John, who walked in, and literally, so John walked in looking for a part-time job with a pile of CVs in his hand that he was going to every other brand with. And I wouldn't normally entertain that guy, because if somebody does that, I'm like, you don't care. You're not here for me. You're just here for a job. But there was something about him. And I sat and listened. So John walks in for a part-time job, looking for a couple of shifts a week, and walks away as the people and culture lead. That's incredible. But he only gets to do that because he's then spent his time, he's been coached, he's created it. I've helped him to kind of to become coachable, and then he's passed it forward, and they all pay it forward. That's the deal. You know, I don't have children. That's just, I can't stand them, if I'm honest with you. They get right on my nerves. However, I have this wonderful legacy of just as a collection, as an army of people who are quoting me to this day. And there's so much that, like, to my ego, I love that, obviously.
Of course.
But it's quality, and they're taking and they're paying it forward. And there's now people who have never met me, will never meet me, who are hearing my ideas and going, okay, that makes sense. So feedback, constant coaching, always looking for those opportunities, but consistency. Like I just, great hospitality in any business, and I don't care if you're coffee shop, QSR, fine dining, I don't care. Great hospitality is built on systems and processes. So I was having this chat yesterday with somebody, and he used to work with me back at the Hard Rock. And in the Hard Rock, if you're a chef in the Hard Rock and you go into a cupboard and you're looking for, I don't know, a flour, and if you go to the spot where flour should be and there's none there, that tells you there's no flour in the building. There's not a risk that somebody's put it somewhere else. It's just not in the building. And it was the same for everything. So that system and process was designed to create that perfect kind of like muscle memory where I can go and do this. And if I put my hand there and it's not there, it means it's not in the building. So if it's not, then what do I need to do next? And then the next step kicks into play. That all of a sudden, once you got that in place and that muscle memory is taking care of kind of the unconscious competence of I just do this now, not because I think about it, not because I have to give it real consideration. I just do it because I've done it so many times. It's been drilled into me relentlessly, and it is relentless that now it's just like, boom, I just do it. So all of a sudden, I stopped thinking about the mindless stuff. I stopped thinking about the bag in the box, whether there's enough there, it's stacked correctly. I stopped thinking about whether the ingredients are there, and I start to look around, and I start to look up, and I start to see the opportunity. And the opportunity with our guests every single day, guests, customers, I don't care what you call them, the opportunity is there. They present it to you. Shiny silver platter. The people who miss that, and the people who don't run with that and do something with it, they're the ones who are falling short.
So great process allows you then to think bigger, be bigger, like progress.
100%.
Absolutely love that. So those success stories that you've had, those people are out there now who are thriving thanks to, you know, maybe some of your mentorship or coaching. Is that why you got into running your own business? Is that what set you down that path? Just like loving the feeling of developing somebody and seeing that, like...
I adore people. That's it. I like being around people. I'm a grumpy fella sometimes, don't get me wrong. But 9 times out of 10, I love being around people, and I love seeing the opportunity, and I love people seeing the opportunity for themselves and doing something with it. So about 10 years ago, it would have been now, I was waiting for a knee replacement. So that was like 40 I was waiting, which is quite early in the game for a knee replacement. It's a combination of bad genes and incredibly good living, that 40 odd years of age, I need a knee replacement. And I was in a lot of pain and discomfort. And I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't always be on my feet. Can't be running around. Well, how do I spend my time now in a way that means that I still get to contribute to the industry that I love, because it's given me an amazing life. Like, I grew up being called council estate scum. That's what we were called at school. Youngest of 6 kids. Mum brought us up, single mum by herself. We grew up in a really, really tough environment. This life that I have comes because of the joy of hospitality. I want everyone to have that. I want everyone to have the opportunity that. I want people to feel the opportunity. So when I rock up to a school and I go and chat in a school about why kids come and do this, I mean it and I believe it, and then they feel it and they see it and they're like, oh, actually, that guy, he's like us. Because I do some work with Springboard, and they'd say, well, we're sending you some schools, Kieron. I'm like, cool, send me to the darkest schools. Send me to the place where the kids don't care. Send me to the place where, like, I'm going to have to think about my car tires. Send me to these places. And they're the places where I think I can make a difference. They're the places where we can make a difference. Everybody in this industry can do it, because we get to go and talk to them and tell them why this is good, why this is great, and how it's going to elevate them and take them out of this situation, because this doesn't define you. Where you grew up, what the names that you were called as a child, that's not you as an adult. You get to choose what you're going to be. Like, I don't know about you, but we all have imposter syndrome, yeah? My imposter syndrome is a council estate kid here, somewhere about here, that every now and again when I'm going to do something a little bit cool or a little bit kind of more than I'm used to, it starts chirping up. And it was like, bup, bup, bup. Council estate's come. Remember that. Your council estate's come. And it's still there. I'm 51. But it still comes in. But the question I have to ask that little imposter voice is, what are you trying to protect me from? Because it's there for a reason. It's trying to protect you from a dangerous, or what it perceives to be a risk. I'm like, are you trying to protect Kieron today, the comfortable, the competent, the capable, the noisy boy, or are you trying to protect Kieron of 40 years ago, who wanted to be a librarian because he didn't want to be seen, he didn't want to be noticed, he just wanted to disappear? Who are you protecting? And once you kind of have that conversation with yourself, all of a sudden the imposter syndrome voice just gets to go. If he's protecting me today, cool. You know what? If he says to me, just have a look at the moment, then that's one thing. But 9 times out of 10, it's going back to that little boy who's just scared of everything. And it's not thinking about the man who's now is just like, boom, send me a room and I'll walk into it and I'll take control.
But it must be nice when you do get to push that voice down and do have that moment of realization of where you've come from and how much you've done. And there must be a huge sense of like achievement or accomplishment from, you know, getting, because that's not everyone's experience, right? Not everyone comes out of the situation you were in and gets to where you are. So there must be kind of a moment of, yeah, that voice is annoying, but also, yes, I'm here and I can tell it to go away now.
Genuinely, I think the moment, actually, the proudest moment when I realized what the voice was and what it was trying to do.
Help, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was able to work out, are you helping me now or helping this version or the old version? Which one is it? That's a proud moment. But fundamentally, I look at my career, like I've done. My career is fundamentally very average. I was good, but I was never incredible. But the difference that I've made and the impact I've had on people's lives, that was incredible. That was incredible. And genuinely, like, so the way this works, I have a mentee now who worked with me back in the Hard Rock days, and he's very cool. Came to this country as a young Polish man looking for a better life. Didn't find a better life to begin with, you know, found a really horrible life to begin with, but found himself at the Hard Rock in Nottingham. And our paths have kind of crossed and intercrossed over that time now, over 20 odd years. And now I sit with him at least once a week, and we talk about kind of how he's growing his business, because he's a coach. He goes out there and he delivers feedback coaching. And now he's got this mission where he's going to help parents to communicate effectively with their kids, which I think is incredible, because I would have been terrible at it. It's the reason why I don't have kids, because I just wouldn't have been cool. If I'd have a daughter, I would have been an awful dad. I'd be like, get in the cupboard, stay locked down, stay away from the boys. And my wife would be like, stop that, that's crazy. If we had had an argument, it would have gone badly. But he's out there now, and he's doing his thing to try and help people with their parents, with their kids, as well as kind of within industry. But a few weeks ago, his boys homeschooled Xavier, and one of the projects, I was like, what's he doing with his homeschooling? Because I'm paying attention. And we were talking about kind of presentation skills. So we set him up to do a presentation skills challenge where he would present to 100 people on an online Zoom. He's 14, and he did it well. Didn't do it amazingly. Could have done substantially better because of preparation. So we sat, and it was fairly tough going. Raf, who's his dad, was sitting watching. He was just like, after we'd done and Xavier had left, he was like, that was like back in the day when you used to do that to me. He was like, I feel for the boy. I was like, he'll get from it is the answer. But he took a photo and he posted this thing where he was talking about the idea that 16 years ago I was coaching him, and now I'm coaching his son. And in 20 years' time, there's a good chance I'm going to be coaching his grandchild. And he's right. I am. That's the way it's going to be. I don't have it for myself, but I have it with people around me. And when I'm so lucky that I get to connect with people in that way. I've gone on a sidetrack there, sorry. But I love it, man. I do. I love it. And to be proud, yeah, of course I'm proud. My mum's goal for us, we would not be criminals. That was the objective. A couple of my brothers fell short relatively quickly on that one, I'll be honest with you. There's quite a few of us. I'm the youngest of 6, so it was a numbers game, really. But I've never broken the law. Well, I did get caught shoplifting when I was 14, but she whooped me.
Never did it again?
I did not. She hurt me.
What did you steal?
Sounds crazy. And there's a whole load of PTSD around it. If I hear Orinoco Flow by Enya now, it takes me right back to that moment.
What is that?
It's a song, and like Enya, like wonderful. I'm disappointed in you.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
Wonderful Irish.
You stole a CD?
No, that was playing while I was stealing.
Okay, sorry.
But I stole a pen, and it was an astronaut's pen that wrote upside down. Don't know why I needed a pen that wrote upside down. Well, I'm not physically in the business of being upside down, but I stole this pen and I got caught, and the police came and picked me up and took me to the station. It was a Saturday afternoon, and they called my mum and they said, we've got Kieron. And she was like, really? Do you have the other one? And they were like, what do you mean the other one? She was like, his brother, because if he's doing it, that one's doing it as well. And they were like, no, we haven't got him. Sean had got away and he'd escaped and he was up in our bedroom. My mum...
With the pen?
He had what he'd stolen. He didn't have the pen. He'd stolen quite a lot. He was better at it than me. But she dragged him by his ear to the police station, and she left us both in the police station for the day on a Saturday. And we were there until like 10 o'clock at night. It was a dark time. But she made sure we learned our lesson in that moment.
Say there's some unusual characters in there with you.
It was a funny little town. It was a funny little town on a Saturday.
You wouldn't be doing that again in a hurry.
Never once did I break the law.
And did you obviously give the pen back?
I mean, sadly, yes.
Oh.
Sadly, yes.
I didn't even know pens don't write upside down. I've never even considered that.
Science, you know what I mean? This was like, think about it, this is 35 years ago, dude. You know what I mean? The world's changed.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You live in a world now. You grew up in a world where pens will write at any sort of angle.
What a time to be alive, huh?
You were privileged.
I am, yeah. I don't even know I'm born. That's how it is.
Like your mum knows. You do not know you were born.
So your business now, what do you do? How do people reach out to you? What is how are you set up at the moment? Like,
I mean, I'm obsessed with two things really: guest experience and how do we elevate it? Because there's a level of mediocrity that rides through our high streets right now that I just won't accept, can't tolerate. It irks me intensely, and I think I want to find a way to be able to help as many people elevate their experience. And for me, whether it's QSR, and I was kind of saying at the start, QSR is where it's really quite exciting right now because there's some cool stuff going on. And then you look at the coffee shop side of that, and there's some really cool people innovating. In Nottingham, there's a business called the Bagel Project, and it's two boys started off with one shop. They've now got 3 shops, and they sell bagels. They're great bagels. I mean, they're not Brooklyn bagels, I'll give you, but still, they were great bagels. But they've got 3 shops right now, and they're doing something really quite interesting in the fact that they're taking much smaller sites on shorter leases, so they're able to take a bit more of a risk and try something out. And that's a real thing at the moment. You see a lot of operators doing that. So I do work with people like that to, A, elevate their guest experience. Do I do that through their people? Yeah, obviously. Kind of how do you get into their heads? How do you kind of get them to the point where every single customer that walks through the door, they get a smile that makes them want to kind of spend money. That for me is really key, to be fair. But to do that, then you look at systems and processes. I'm desperately trying to persuade these bagel guys to just flip one thing. So you walk in their shop and the till is the starting point and there's a coffee machine. But it causes a huge bottleneck, as you would imagine, when you walk through the door. But they've got this lovely long counter where they prepare the bagels. And I might just put the till at the end, have them walk down and just move them along. And then you've got a nice little... He was like, no. I was like, just watch this. And I was sitting there on Monday, and I was watching the queue just turn into this... Did you see the Black Sabbath thing at the weekend?
Yeah.
So at one point in that Black Sabbath gig, there was 6 different mosh pits going on. That's what's happening in this bagel shop. Honestly, just circle pits happening, going on left, right, and centre. A younger version of me, I'd be running at that to get right into it. I'm old. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So now I just sit down and think, I'll just wait until that passes. But that's stopping me from spending money. That's stopping me from upselling. That's stopping me from going and buying the cake. And I'm an easy sell for a cake. It's not complicated. So I like to spend my days helping people to elevate their business, elevate the experience, elevate people, and actually just think about why this industry is so cool, man. And I want to tell that story. So it's not complicated, really. I'm just lucky that I get to do all of those things.
What do you think is the biggest challenge across hospitality at the moment? Like what are particularly within the restaurant side of it? What are you seeing?
I think there's a sense of fear that we can't hire the right people, we can't hire enough people, which that sense of fear then leans into accepting mediocrity. And we accept the fact that there's going to be some people delivering okay experiences. No one's coming back for an okay experience. They're not. I don't care whether I'm spending £5 on a coffee. And think about that. That was the cheapest version. Whether I'm spending £5 on a cup of coffee, that's a lot of money for a cup of coffee. So it needs to be a great cup of coffee. It needs to be the temperature I expect it to be. It needs to be pretty. It needs to have a little bit of love gone into it. So if you're not doing that, and you're not employing people who are going to take some time, energy, and care, and they're going to maybe serve me a lukewarm coffee that's been spilled over into the saucer by the time it gets to my table, and they just look at me and go, coffee. I'm not coming back for that. You coming back for that?
Absolutely not. No. Yeah.
None of us. So for me, I think there's fear. And there's fear of the fact that we can't find the right people, we can't find enough people. And then that fear means we accept run of the mill. And genuinely, that ruins me because it's not acceptable.
Do you think COVID had a kind of a part to play in that? A lot of the restaurant owners I've talked to have said, after COVID, it was very difficult to find people, and a lot of people left the hospitality industry, pursued other things, studied whatever kind of came up. But you're not buying it.
I think there's an element of that. If I'm going to be kind, there's an element of that. But I also think it's a good excuse. And I think if there's one thing that we're quite good at in this industry, is making excuses to why things are tough. We'll talk about everything that can go wrong, everything that goes against us. The government are against us. Of course they are. I mean, they wake up every morning and think about how they're going to make our life harder. That's the objective. They don't. They think about how they make their job better, but they fail sometimes, and that's just the way it is. Yes, finding good people is a little bit tougher, but what are you doing to find them? What's the process to trying to find the best people? Who are you going out to, and who are you going out and talking to? Or are you just accepting the fact that whoever rolls through your door are going to be your applicants? If that's the case, well then good luck. You'll get the run of the mill, because they're the people who will fundamentally not have a job because they're not very good. So they'll be running out and they're talking to anybody who'll listen to them. And you'll have that moment of desperation where you go, okay, I can do something with you. Like, a warm body is better than nobody. It's not. It is not. We have to learn, we have to master to live with the short-term pain for the long-term gain. So if you are one person short, inspire the people who are working there for you today to work a little bit harder, and to make them say, actually, I want to bring my friend in. I know somebody who's going to come in. I know a regular who's looking for a job. I'll talk to that regular and persuade them. Your people are your ambassadors. And if you're not making your ambassadors feel good, making them feel incredible, then they're not going to act as an ambassador. Certainly not a good one. So yes, it's harder. Yes, COVID was tough, obviously, and it's created some challenges. But it's not the challenge. Be better. Just be better. And grow up. The world's hard. Honestly, I saw a video pop up on my timeline of something. I was at a conference 3 years ago, and I talked about the idea that hospitality needs to grow up, and it hasn't changed. We need to stop making excuses and start understanding what part do we play. What are we doing to be proactive and go out and find the good people? If you go to the average restaurant and say, have you been to your local school to go and get into those kind of sixth formers and persuade them and find the good ones in there? How many times do you do that? They'll go, we've never done that. Okay. Have you just put a sign up in the window? Yeah. Have you put something up on your social media that hopes that somebody's going to go, oh, that looks cool. How can we be a part of that? No, be better. Be more proactive. Take control. It's hard, but it's not impossible. So hire slow. But then if you hire slow and still you get it wrong, do yourself a solid and fire fast. Move forward. Don't just sit there and think, oh, no, something's better than nothing. It's not. It's cancer. It's problematic for your business, and it will make your guests unhappy. And if you make your guests unhappy, they're just going to find somewhere else to be.
And it demotivates other staff, right? So high-performing staff see a low performer getting away with it and just go, well, why am I bothering being excellent when they're phoning it in, right?
Most of us have been in that situation at some point where we look around and go, why am I busting my nuts? And he's being given so much latitude. Why? What's the point of this? So then you start to think, well, it comes down to that thing of kind of tacit agreement. If you step over something, you say, that's okay, that's our standard. I was talking to Scott from Alden, actually just before I met you today, and we were talking about the idea that, if you go through a restaurant, you see a napkin on the floor, there are members of team and managers stepping over that napkin. In that moment, I just want to grab them and just what are you doing? Pick the napkin up. Back in, when I was an operator, and Scott was the same, my pockets were a recycling bin because I just scooping things up and just clearing up and saying, this is the standard that we operate to. We don't operate to a run of the mill. We don't operate to what is okay for everybody else. We operate to our standard. Define that. Define what the standard is and then reinforce it every single day. And you've got to be relentless with it. You can't just kind of I'm going to say this once. Think about Instagram. You go on Instagram right now. You post on Instagram, 10% of your followers will see a post. Wicked. That's great. 10%. Nice. The other 90%, they're not seeing it. Our world is like the Instagram feed. We put one message out and we assume that everybody's heard it and we assume that everyone's going to follow up on it. They're not. A small percentage of them will. Probably the cool people that you're talking about, the rock stars, are out there giving it all and working hard to be better and to be stronger and to make sure the business is good and successful. The other 90%, they don't see it. And that 10% then start to go, well, why? Why am I doing this? So unless you're going to be relentless with your messaging, if you're just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and saying the same thing again and again and again, you're going to fall short.
Absolutely. Love that. That's great. I'm going to ask the question that I think everyone's kind of sick of hearing now. AI, what is your thoughts? How can it help the industry? Or are you not an AI guy?
I mean, I like AI. I think there's something to it. I'm scared. I think it's going to ruin us all one day. And
full Terminator kind of situation?
I think it's going to come.
Yeah.
I think there's a version of Sarah Connor somewhere sitting laughing at us all, just going, told you, but you weren't listening, lads. It'll be what it'll be. I like AI. I think it's got real opportunities. I think, you look at the guys, Matt Grimshaw from Uda. He's really doing a really smart thing with the way he implements kind of using AI to make the onboarding process faster, smoother, and simpler. That's great. So if we use AI to reduce some of the time spent on fairly run-of-the-mill tasks, happy days. But when we start to rely on it to give us all the answers, and when we start to rely on it to do the job for us, and then we start to kind of take our foot off the gas, then I worry. I worry about creativity. Because if I'm honest with you, when I look at the world full stop, I worry about the lack of critical thinking, which is one of the reasons that the industry is struggling, that a lot of people coming through the doors don't have critical thinking skills, so they're not able to look at a problem and work out quickly what a solution is. That bothers me. And then you think about AI. Everything. If I go and write a LinkedIn post and I say chat Perplexity, I use Perplexity. Perplexity, write me a post about X, Y, and Z. Do it in the tone of voice of Kieron. He's a bit of a gobshite. He likes the sound of his own voice. He's not afraid to say some stuff that's going to make some people uncomfortable. I also quite like Dennis Leary as a comedian, so throw a bit of that in there because it's also quite twisted. It'll do it for me. And that's amazing. and it will get somewhere close to hitting my tone of voice, but it's never going to hit my tone of voice just right. If I just trust on that and lean on that, then my own creative thinking and my ability to create and connect pathways starts to really fall short. And that's the same in all ways that AI is implemented. So there are some ways that it makes a lot of sense and it's really impactful, and genuinely, I say, be bold and be brave with it and open up and see what it can do for you. But don't just use it as a crutch. If you're going to use it as a tool to create and free up time and some fairly kind of run-of-the-mill tasks, happy days, then think about, what am I going to do with that time? That free time that's just been generated for me, am I going to sit and have a brew, or am I going to go and do something for my people? Am I going to go and make an impact on my guests because I've got some time to play with? So yeah, AI, it'll end us all one day. I sound like an old man right now, and I'm okay with it. It's fine. It's not the thing you ever want to be proven right on. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But
you don't want to be saying "I told you so" at the end of the world. Like,
no, I mean, I'll have 15 seconds to have to feel joyous
as the nuke comes.
Exactly, and I'm like, I see. Oh, oh dear. But genuinely, it can save time in so many different ways, and there are people doing really cool stuff. But don't use it as a crutch, and certainly don't lean on it too hard. But when you do get the time, do something cool with the free time that it's generated.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? People use it, you're like, oh, I saved, that would have taken me 30 minutes. I did it in 10 seconds, and then they don't do anything with the 30 minutes.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Make a choice.
And there's a bit of AI saturation I've seen as well, particularly with LinkedIn, because you mentioned that there. You can kind of tell sometimes when the posts are written by it and you're like, oh, this is 5 paragraphs, and like this could have been 1 paragraph, but the person was so chuffed that AI wrote 5 paragraphs on the topic. They were just like, yeah, I'm going to paste that and post it all. Exactly. So I think there's probably a way to use it without making it very obvious that you're like leaning on it, right?
Yeah, without doubt. Without doubt. And I think, check your Zs and your Ss. There's a good starting point for an Englishman, I'll be honest, or an Irishman.
Yes, absolutely.
But the amount of people still aren't doing that.
Yeah, writes an American, off the bat.
I saw somebody say, actually, I like the fact that when I see a post that's got a grammatical error, it makes me feel better about the fact that it's probably not written by AI.
Yeah.
Right? But that's a really easy command.
Yeah.
So I tell AI, write me a post, now put in 2 grammatical errors. Because that's going to make somebody else feel comfortable that I've not used AI to write this.
This must be Trump's plan as well. If you ever read any of his...
No,
it's not. Okay. You like your job. Let's not...
I've got some thoughts on the man.
I was literally just commenting on his grammatical errors. That was it. Nothing about policy.
Right, okay.
Anyway, I've got these questions I ask everyone, just kind of quick fire. So one piece of advice, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self and give that one piece of advice, what would it be?
Just do it. Just do it, man. It's just like, I don't want to go full Nike, but just do it. Like, when you sit and tell yourself that it's hard and it's scary and it's uncomfortable and that you don't belong there, there's a room you don't belong in, so don't be there. Stop doing that. Stop listening to that voice and just go and crack on and do it.
You learn more from doing it, right?
You really will. And you'll have some fun, is the answer. You'll have some fun. It might not always go to plan, but honestly, some of my best experiences have come from me cocking something up.
Love that. Death row meal.
This is a difficult one because I would not go to one restaurant. I wouldn't know that. So
actually, don't do restaurant. Just do dish, because I'm going to ask you your favorite restaurant as well. So,
I've got 3 courses.
Lovely. Yeah.
Thought about this.
Yeah.
This is the question I gave most thought to, which really does shine a light on me in so many positive ways. So in Nottingham, there is a wonderful pub called the Ruddington Arms, and it serves the best leek and potato soup I've ever eaten in my life. Like, I would eat it every day. Like, wow. 30, 40 degrees, I'd still eat it. It was incredible. Then there is a restaurant called Skane that opened about 6 months ago. It's pronounced Skane, it's written Skeen, but they did this dish that was it's like a little pastry kind of topping with Stilton, but most importantly, it had like a smoked pom puree, like smoked mashed potato.
Never heard of that.
I've never eaten it before in my life. No. I was like, you can take the rest, just bring me more of this.
And I'm Irish. I've thought I've had potatoes in every possible way. Like, we'd be having four or 5. Yeah. You can't say that. Don't speak about my people like that. But I can say it.
But a smoked plum puree is possibly one of the greatest things you'll ever eat. So seek it out. If you're ever in Nottingham, you let me know and I will come and treat you and we'll have a good time. And then for dessert, I went to a place in Nottingham last week called Kushiyar, which is like a little Korean barbecue place. Jay Rayner wrote a piece about it, loved it, raved about it. Food was outstanding, but the dessert was this kind of, it's like a burnt sugar kind of sorbet thing with a toasted sesame twirl on top. And I wasn't going to have dessert. And then I had this moment where I was looking at this kind of list and my wife's looking at me, laughing at me, just going, "It's going to eat dessert." Because, like, he likes dessert. She's like, a long time she's known me. So, like, I wasn't going to have it. I was like, I think I'm doing okay. And then I saw this on and I was like, it does sound good, though. And they bought it out. And honestly, it was the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. It was so nice.
Wow.
So nice.
Game-changing.
Like, as a dessert, like, I raved for about 12 minutes. My wife was like, "You're going to take a breath." I don't think I am. So, yeah, 3 courses, 3 different places, because variety is the spice of life.
Okay, and then if I had to ask you to pick your favorite restaurant in the UK, where is it? What is it?
I think, because it's so difficult to find somewhere that creates great food and service that matches. Often you can get one, but not the other. You'll get something that's kind of like, okay, either way.
And you're willing to compromise on one, right?
And I don't want to compromise. I'm not interested. I have a list. Do the things that bring me joy. I have a wife of 31 years. It's amazing. I don't want to compromise on anything. I want the best. So I'm gonna go for Skane because it's brand spanking new, and these guys are like real innovators. They own 3 businesses within 30 feet of each other. One is this lovely late night bar. One is this fabulous breakfast offer, and then one is Skane. And they just care. You can feel it. Like, there's 3 partners, and they all work the floor, but they rotate. So this one night, the night we went in, one of the partners was on the floor, and the guy just got hospitality. Like, it just oozed in every single way, and it was just comfortable. It was nice, and it was like a warm hug. And at the end of it, I was just like, I want more, and that's it. That's what we're looking for, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, just an experience. A desire. It's just something out of the ordinary, right?
I'm walking around.
So, next 5 years, what does success look like for you?
That's a good question. I guess I don't go postal. That's always a possibility. There's been a world of stress. No, I don't. I just genuinely just think that my objective for the next 5 years really is, from a personal perspective, I want my business to grow. I've no interest in being a millionaire. I want to be able to do good work that has an impact, and I want to be able to impact the lives of the people around me and the people who I get to be a part of.
And feed your cats.
Always feed the cats. There's loads of them, mate. 8 of the buggers. It's a big responsibility.
I feel like we need a podcast on the 8 cats. Like, that's a separate conversation. I don't want to dig into that right now.
Honestly, but when you tell someone you've got 8 cats, there's a moment where they look and you go, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. The cats are starting to make sense now.
It's just like, but no, like, feed the cats, man. But actually, so one of the big objectives is my wife's just about to finish her 3rd master's.
Wow.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Oh my God.
It's genuinely obscene.
Yeah.
And then I think she's going to do a PhD. And by the time she's done her PhD, then I will take her out of her corporate life and I will sell her within an inch of her life. She's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Like, she's like culture. She does the whole culture piece beautifully, and she's a lot nicer than me. So I'm quite direct sometimes. So yeah, I'll just sell her. Simple as can be. I've told her already, so it's fine. There's no surprise.
Unbelievable. You're obviously very, very lucky to have someone that motivates you so much, that drives you on and makes you want to be better, right? It's great to have someone like that in your life.
I genuinely feel sad for people who weren't lucky enough to find the love of their life at 19 and then be smart enough to work out what you need to do to keep the love of your life in your life. Because we've grown together, we've changed together. I've been a dick at different times, and there's been moments where I've had to really kind of do some work on me as a person. So I'm incredibly lucky to have that. She is it. She's the best thing in my life.
I feel like we've strayed into dating podcasts now, but this is great.
Although I was terrible at dating.
Call us daddy or whatever that whatever that podcast is. No one's going to watch us. Anyway, yeah.
I agree. I think there's something to it.
Yeah.
There's something there.
We'll talk after. Okay. And my final question for you then is, where can people find you? Where can they reach out?
I mean, I'm prolific on LinkedIn. Just search for The Boy Bailey Speaks. And that's a weird thing that taps back to when I've been the youngest of 6 and walking into school and having a teacher look at you and go, you're one of those Bailey boys. So I decided I was going to take it back. So The Boy Bailey Speaks, you'll find me on social across most.
Are you on X?
I only go on X to look at football news. I have real issues and I really struggle to call it X as well. But you'll find me most other places. But to chat to me, LinkedIn is a good place. I'm awful with Instagram. I hate it. I do it now and again, and I talk to people randomly. But on the whole, LinkedIn's your best place.
Brilliant. Well, Kieron, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate you taking the time. I feel like I've learned loads from that. So thanks a million.
Man, I've had a belter. You're very good at this. I play to you. You know what I mean?
Thanks very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, man. Yeah.